Hi, I'm Willie Lawson, and this is the afternoon news for June 9th, 2009. Hey, there's something that you probably haven't thought about. You haven't thought about the money that people who come to this country send home. And obviously, there are people from Mexico who send money home all the time. There's a story now from El Paso, Texas that says the economy is struggling through the longest recession since the Great Depression. The steady flow of dollars that immigrants send back to Mexico has also taken a serious hit. Mexico's central bank, which tracks money sent to the country by Mexicans living abroad, announced last month that the remittances had dropped more than 18% in the past year, from $2.19 billion to $1.7 billion. It was the biggest such decline on record. Mexico isn't alone in the loss of remittance revenue, but the U.S. neighbor's economy relies very heavily on the billions of dollars that are sent home annually. But what about the connection between the remittances and the U.S. economy? Does a decline in money sent to Mexico offer any clues where things stand north of the border? Here's a question and an answer about the remittance and the U.S. economy. Aren't millions of legal and illegal aliens from Mexico still living and working in the U.S.? Well, the answer, of course, is yes. Many millions of Mexican immigrants live in the U.S., but immigration has been disproportionately affected by the deepening recession because they often work in industries that are often hardest hit by recession. It really shows you that the weaknesses of the economy is, said David Bazenko, who is a professor at Northwestern University. Immigrant workers are disproportionately employed in construction and manufacturing, and as we know, those are two industries that have been hardest hit by this latest recession. So, on the light side of things, our Vice President, Joe Biden, is a little bit off track about the nation's largest transportation project. When questioned by the Record of Bergen County about the Hudson River Rail Tunnel during a conference call on Monday, Biden told the New Jersey newspaper that the tunnel is designed to provide for automobile traffic. Well, however, the tunnel will only handle commuter trains that shuttle passengers between New Jersey and Manhattan. Biden's office said today that the vice president misheard the question. Biden's press secretary, Elizabeth Alexander, said the vice president is a big proponent of rail travel and worked hard to boost funding for the project. Officials broke ground on the $8.7 billion project yesterday. Hey, you know, those rising gas prices. But today, crude oil passed $70 a barrel, but the gas prices seem to have flattened. In a story out of Houston, Texas, while crude settled above the $70 a barrel mark for the first time this year, gasoline prices failed to rise overnight for the first time in 42 days, signaling a possible break for motorists as summer driving shifts into high gear. Benchmark crude for July delivery rose $1.92 to close at $70.01 a barrel and trading on close of the New York Mercantile Exchange, hitting a new annual high of $70.18 during this afternoon. This afternoon, the government joined several banks that have revised their price expectations upward for the year. Meanwhile, retail pump prices have risen steadily since late April to a national average of nearly $2.62 a gallon. The pace at which gasoline prices spiked through May caught the many forecasters kind of off guard. Still, compared to last summer, gasoline is a bargain. Last year, gas crossed the $4 barrier for the first time during crude's historic run to $150 a barrel. All right. In a sad story, there are 2 people missing and 21 hurt in North Carolina. There was a Slim Jim plant collapse in Gardner, North Carolina. 2 people were missing and 21 injured, 4 critically after an explosion at a Slim Jim meat products plant in North Carolina. Jeffrey Hammerstein, district chief of Wake County Emergency Medical Services, said that the third person initially reported missing was found and taken to the hospital. Authorities were searching for two others. We don't know if they were in the building or not, but we're going in to look for him, Hammerstein said. Chris Woods, a worker at the facility, said he started running and after fleeing an explosion around 11 o'clock this morning. He said, I was picking up a piece of meat at the line and it felt a percussion in my chest. Wood said one of those guys I was working with got blown back as he flew backwards. So we send out the healing vibe and the prayers for those people that are there in that plant, and that everyone gets found and everyone is okay. Speaking of health and okay, the World Health Organization says that it might indeed declare swine flu a pandemic anytime now. In Geneva, the World Health Organization said today that a spike in swine flu cases in Australia might push it finally to announce the first flu pandemic in 41 years. It also expressed concern about the unusual rise in severe illness from the disease in Canada. The World Health Organization's flu chief said the agency wanted to avoid adverse effects if it announces a global outbreak of swine flu. They also said that people might panic or that the governments might take inappropriate actions if the World Health Organization declares a pandemic. Some flu experts think that the world is already in a pandemic, and the World Health Organization has caved in to country requests that a declaration must be postponed. On the surface of it, I think that we're in phase 6 or a pandemic, said Margaret Chan, the World Health Organization Director General. And our last story this afternoon is that this is from Robert Gates. The U.S. is increasingly concerned about the recent advances of Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. That's from the Defense Secretary, Robert Gates. Our concern about the nature of the Iran problem has continued to rise as they continue to make further progress in enriching uranium, Gates told a Senate Appropriations Committee panel. And also they have enjoyed some success in their missile field. The United States and other Western powers suspect that Iran is using its nuclear power program to develop atomic weapons, but Tehran insists that it merely aims to produce civilian nuclear energy. Our concern with Iran's programs, and I believe I can say also Israel's, has continued to grow given the unwillingness of the Iranians to slow, stop, or even indicate a willingness to talk about their programs, Gates says. Alrighty, that's our afternoon news. Thanks so much for coming. Again, my name is Willie Lawson, and this is just the news. We're going to try to pull as many of these out as we possibly can because we think here at the Willie Lawson Show that you just want the news and you'll do the commentary. I'll do the reporting, you do the commentary. You can comment down underneath, or you can go to my website, www.rtradio.ning.com, or you can send an email to my email address. You'll see that at the end credits, and then we'll have this discussion. Thanks so much for coming to the Willie Lawson Show. It's the news. We'll see you in a little bit.